Good morning. Just got a few buttons I need to press. Bear with me. I'm going to say in button form. I'm going to say good morning to Gary Muirhead. I'm going to say good morning to Mick Norton, and I'm going to say good morning to Mark Whiting, who we all in the chat together with Dan Cullen and Footy and Glenn Johnston and a whole bunch of people. I think I pressed everyone's button. If I haven't, let me know. Peter McKenna has sent me a message that looks like that. I've no idea what those emojis are because they don't display on this screen, but thank you. Good morning. How the devil are you doing this Friday? Hope you're all fit and well, physically, mentally, and possibly even spiritually as well. A quick reminder, I won't be here tomorrow, and I won't be here on Thursday either, together with the massed ranks of the construction press, plus a few press release wranglers that claim to be journalists. I'm heading off to JCB to see firsthand the company's latest new product. However, I will be back on Friday, hopefully with some exclusive new footage of that new product. So apologies for Wednesday and Thursday. Make sure you're here on Friday. And speaking of Friday, on Friday this week, the NFDC will be hosting its AGM and awards. The event is taking place 364 days after 10 members of the NFDC were handed fines of almost £60 million for their part in a bid rigging and price fixing scandal. Now, at the time, none of the companies involved received any sanctions whatsoever from the Federation. Well, I was bored last night, so I took a quick look at the shortlisted nominees for the 5 awards that are up for grabs. 3 of the companies caught up in the CMA scandal are up for awards. Of course, Scudder is no longer a member, and Squibb Group collapsed late last year, but roughly a third of the guilty parties not only received no penalty or sanction from the industry's governing body, it's now very, very possible they might actually receive an award less than a year after bringing the Federation and the industry into disrepute. Now, all of the NFDC awards... Let me do that again. Now, all of the NFDC awards are for individuals. Apprentice of the Year, Manager of the Year, Supervisor of the Year, that kind of thing. So I don't suppose for one moment that any of the winners were directly involved in any wrongdoing. That took place way, way up the food chain. But what kind of message does it send to the wider industry when those involved in bid rigging less than a year ago are potentially in line for an award from the industry's governing body? Love to hear from you. Let me know in the chat what you think. Also going to say good morning to Chris Ford. He has a dedicated button like so many others do. Also going to say good morning to Jim Turner, who's just arrived as well. In more ways than one, Peter. I see you like pressing people's buttons, Mark. Yes, in more ways than one. And Andy Dalvell is with us as well. Now, do I have the right button there? I do. The Andy Dalvell is with us. And if you're watching over on Instagram, which I know many of you are, please let us know where you are watching from. I'd love to hear from you. So yes, should we get on with it? I think we probably should. It is time to roll a bit of this. I'm going to post the question of the day in a minute and just hope and pray that I've done it right because it was playing up earlier, but here we go. Yes, I'm also going to say good morning to Ken Hatcher. He has a button dedicated to him as well. Good morning to Ken Hatcher as well. It is Tuesday, the 19th of March. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, the meddling Mark Anthony. If you know, you know. In today's show, True 7 makes an M25 bridge vanish. Bobcat's new rotating telehandlers. Are they hot or are they not? I'll leave that for you to decide. It's a breeze for Cabelco excavators at a wind turbine project. Why a dirt foreman, yes, that's a real job title. Why a dirt foreman loves Caterpillar equipment and heavy iron. Plus, we're headed down under for some truly awesome power station demolition. But before we get to all of that, we have the small matter of today's mystery machine. And here, sorry, something just flashed on my screen. I don't know what that was. Here is the machine you need to identify. That's what you've got to work with so far. I think there's 5 or 6 slides. So yes, let me know. Sorry, something's just gone really weird with the chat. It blinked on, it blinked off, and it blinked back on again. Good to see. Now, everybody, that's what you've got to work with. Andy Dovell has already taken a stab at the Cat 352 Next Gen. It is not one of those, I'll tell you that much. Let me take that away because we do actually have, yes, I've already said about the question of the day. Let me remind you exactly what that question of the day actually is, because I've got a button for that too. Yes, our day, let me try that again. Our question of the day is this. What day of your life would you most like to relive? Now, I was originally going to say the day I became a father for the first time, but that day was actually quite stressful. I was also going to say 10th of May 1980 when West Ham beat Arsenal to win the FA Cup. But that day was quite stressful too. So I'm going to go with the 12th of May 1990, the day I got married. No stress, just a thoroughly enjoyable day from start to finish. But what about you? Let us know in the chat. We'll come back to that after the show. No, we don't have any gremlins. I think it was there was just like a weird connection thing going on, so hopefully we'll be okay. We've had a couple of guesses, as I say, on the mystery machine, which looks like that. Andy Dalvell has gone for the Cat 352. Dan Cullen's gone for the Liebherr 944. Jim Turner has gone for the 15-ton Sani. It is none of those things, but I'll tell you now, one of you is on the right track. We'll come back to that. No, in actual fact, let me give you a little bit more to work with. There you are. That's what you've got to work with. If that helps in any way, please let us know in the chat. Gary Muirhead has said Cat 432. It is not one of those either. I'm going to take that off the screen because we do actually have a show to be getting on with. Start with this. This past weekend, the south of England saw a notable first. A part of the infamous M25 motorway was closed for the weekend, while True 7 Group demolished a bridge over the M25. Overnight possessions are hard enough to obtain, so hats off to True 7 for convincing the client that a daytime closure, the first in the M25's history, was actually the answer. But, of course, having convinced them that they needed a daytime possession, they then needed to deliver. And oh boy, did they deliver. Now, I do need to dredge this off of my hard drive, so bear with me for 2 seconds while I find it. It looks a little bit like this. Pretty good. I think you'll agree. Hats off to the entire True 7 team for a job well done. Some nice kit on that job too, as Gary Muirhead has just pointed out. Some lovely looking Volvo equipment. Yeah, absolutely working peerlessly, I would say. Andy Dalvell has just said, our True 7 taking over the name of Bridgebusters from Armac. Looking good, boys and girls. Still got some catching up to do. I still say that our friends at Armac are the Bridge Masters, but True 7 not far behind these days. There is a question here somewhere. Well done to True 7. Not a company you would associate with Demolition. You should. You should. I don't know exactly when it was. It must be 5-6 years ago. True 7 actually acquired CDC, or Clark Demolition Company, and took David Clark of the Clark Demolition Company with them. David is still there, still doing his thing, but apparently the company is going to be rebranded as True Demolition, I think they're going to be called. So yes, you should associate them with Demolition, no question about it. Our friend Craig's just arrived, says didn't disappoint. No, they didn't disappoint at all. Did a fantastic job. And as I say, to it's nice to see the demolition industry getting a bit of positive press. I don't know if anybody else is aware. Obviously, in the run up to that project, there was lots and lots of talk about the fact that the M25 was going to be closed and there was going to be traffic chaos and all of the things. All valid arguments. Although if a demolition company says that the best way to do the job is to close the road, then that's good enough for me. But they finished the job 8 hours ahead of schedule. And I've driven that part of the M25 since. You would never know they'd been there. So fantastic job to all concerned. Dan Cullen says he's working at the wash plant, so can only listen in now. We will do our best with the tunes in that case. Who else have we got? Gary Muirhead enjoyed the tune on that one. Footy says looks an awesome job. Peter McKenna says I was one of the first to watch it on YouTube. They did an amazing job. Yeah, I was hoping there was going to be a live feed. I couldn't find one, but yeah, all good stuff. Going back to our mystery machine, that's what you've got to work with so far. I'm going to give you a slice more. We have had a couple of answers that are on the right track, but bearing in mind, I'm looking for actual model numbers. Dan Cullen said the Sani 850. It is not. Jim Turner is saying the 21-ton Sani. I need a model number. If anyone's got anything, please let me know. Peter McKenna saying about the M25. It's closed lots due to the many accidents, so I couldn't see what all the fuss was about. It's the fact that it was a full weekend. I think that was the absolute truth. And bearing in mind, it was the first daytime closure in the M25's history. So yeah, it was a big deal. But as I say, I think True 7 did, or True Demolition, or combination thereof, did the industry proud. So hats off to them. So shall we crack on with a bit more stuff? I think we probably should. I need you to be ready to judge in just a moment.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
Right, people, I think it's time for you to break out your judges' scorecards once again as we decide whether some new machines are worthy of the title hot or if they are not. The machines I'm about to lay before your gaze today are the very latest telescopic handlers from those fine folks at Bobcat. Now, personally, if it's got a Bobcat badge on it, I'm already leaning towards hot, but I don't make the decisions around here. So remember, while you're enjoying this, please don't forget, hot or not in the chat. Here we go.
Hello everyone, I'm delighted to introduce you the new range of Bobcat rotary telehandlers. The range offers 9 models with lifting heights from 18 to 39 meters and lifting capacities from 5 to 8 tons. So let's take a closer look at the representative models, the TR6260. First, notice how easy it is to get in. With the entire cab moved forward over the front wheels, climbing into the cab has never been easier. Steps are conveniently located directly below the cab with 3 easy-to-reach grab bars. The door can be opened 180 degrees, which makes entering and leaving the cab every day effortless. Thanks to this newly implemented Easy Access green button, within one push, the upper structure tilts 4 degrees, offering an even easier access out of the cab with visibility on the stairs. Stepping into the cab, you can see that all controls are located on the 12-inch touchscreen display, which is next to the steering wheel. You can use the dedicated soft touch buttons as well as the jog shuttle for rapid access to 5 main control pages. This large screen enables you to intuitively control all the function and machine settings, including a live view of each stab extension or 3 work modes for handling, lifting and jobs with a bucket. The screen can be displayed in day or night modes, offering the needed contrast based on the ambient light or operator preference. The operator will appreciate the comfort offered with air conditioning, pressurized cab and air filtration, all as standard. The improved and easily adjustable steering column will complete the operator's ergonomic environment. And with the extended window coverage and the ultra-wide panoramic rooftop window, you'll have optimum visibility of your job site. Rotary telehandlers with a maximum travel speed of 40 km an hour are used in a wide variety of applications. They can be used as a telehandler, a crane and a man platform, increasing their versatility on any job site. As you know, at Bobcat, versatility does not come as a vain word. We offer you some 27 different attachments to tackle just any job. For typical pick-and-place applications, you will appreciate the several types of fixed and rotating pallet forks. To use the machine as a crane, you can select from a number of jibs and winches with capacities up to 8 tons. And for aerial applications, there's a selection of man platforms that can accommodate up to 3 workers. But the real magic happens when you connect one of the attachments to the machine. Thanks to the Smart Attachments Recognition System, leveraging RFID technology, the machine automatically identifies the attachments connected, and it will show the operator the corresponding load chart in the display. In just a few seconds, you are ready to start working with maximum safety. Thanks to Classic, Live and Live Radius views, you have a choice of 3 different load charts showing you boundaries where you can operate. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the new range of Bobcat rotary telehandlers. Solutions filled with intuitive innovations and built to provide all-around performance.
It says here on my script that I'm supposed to ask you what you made of those, whether they were hot or not. You've already jumped the gun. Let's have a look. Who have we got? We've got Peter McKenna saying they are hot. We have got Gary Muirhead saying they're hot. A lot of thought been put into these machines. Footy is saying hot as well. Dan Cullen, hot. Even Ken Hatcher, a man who is hard to please. Hot. Just on hot, but hot. They are going forward to our grand final at the end of the year. I'm just going to say very quickly, good morning to Boss Demolition and to our Steel Wrist, who are both watching over on Instagram. Good morning, people. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Now, Mystery Machine. Let's have a look. Who did we have having a stab at this one? There is our friend Craic saying it's a Hyundai HX220. It is not. Gary Muirhead is going for the Sany SY335C. It is not one of those either. You're getting closer, but you're still not there. Dan Cullen is saying it's a Sany 650 or a 60-ton plus machine due to the RAM. Need a model number. You're kind of in the right area, but I tell you what, let me... I just realised I'm not on the screen. There we are. Let me give you a little smidgen more. That's what you've got to work with. That is our mystery machine for today. If anyone's got any clues on what that might be, please let me know. Just going back to the Bobcat, I will take that off the screen very quickly. Going back to the Bobcat, Jim Turner says, hot, spot on. If you have enough work to wear on the outlay, we'll do a massive variety of hire work. Yeah, absolutely. I know the guy doing the presentation there was talking versatility, but with all those attachments, truly, truly versatile. Chris Ford, however, says, a telehandler leaves me cold unless I've got a load to move with forks. Then they're red hot. Fair enough. Chris Ford has also taken a stab at the competition today for our mystery machine and has gone for the Sany SY500LC. It is not. And just to say good morning to Dave Paget down at Kent Demolition. Good morning, Dave. Thank you very much indeed for being here. I'm just going to show you very quickly. That's the mystery machine we're working with. If you've got any clues on that, Dave, or anyone else, please let me know in the chat. While you're thinking about that, I'm going to throw up one of these. Just going to tell you, Adrian Rogers has just arrived and has gone for the Sany SY870. It is not, but you're close-ish. You're definitely close-ish. That's what you've got to work with. I tell you what, let me take that off the screen. I will get back to the main part of the. Actually, stand by your beds. First of all, let me address this. That is the mystery machine that you've got to identify. And our friend Ken Hatcher just hit the jackpot. It is a Sany SY750H. And if you stand by your beds, there you are. Ken Hatcher, well spotted, sir. Well spotted. Hard man to please, but he knows his diggers. Well done, Ken. Let me take that off the screen. Now, I will get back to the show in just a second, but all comments from Mick Norton are worth stopping to take note of. So, Bobcat rotary telehandler. Nothing innovative about their attachment recognition. Merlot had it years ago. Nothing on safety critical aspects of lateral instability. For me, these equipments have always been closer to crane than telehandler. Regretfully, not hot. However, you've been outvoted, I'm afraid, Mick. Those machines are going forward to our grand final, which will be in December sometime. I will have a look at the diary one of these days and actually figure out exactly when that's going to be. I'll keep you posted. Now, you can say what you like about the decarbonisation of the planet. And I realise there's lots of people that are anti-electric and all the things that go with it. But think about this, if you would. Dismantling and demolition of the nation's power stations has pumped some much-needed and very lucrative work through the demolition industry here in the UK and around the world. That was work we didn't have before. Also, the construction of solar farms, nuclear power stations, and wind turbines have all provided fresh new work for the construction sector. And I mean work a bit like this. Yeah, some awesome machines there and a great application as well. Now, I do need you to strap in because we're headed down under immediately after this.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Yeah, I just mentioned power station demolition and the contribution it's made to the workload and to the bottom line of demolition contractors here in the UK. Well, those same rules apply in Australia as well. Give me 2 seconds. I will dredge this one from my hard drive and I'll show you exactly what I mean.
Wallerawang, Australia. Located just over 2 hours from the heart of Sydney, the 1,000 megawatt Wallerawang Power Station opened in 1957 as one of the first large coal power plant stations in New South Wales, supplying power to Sydney. After ceasing operation in 2014, the site underwent decommissioning works for a number of years before our client, GreenSpot, acquired the site with a view to repurposing the site into a sustainable eco-hub. Liberty Industrial was engaged as the principal contractor for the 2-year project. A preservation plan was created right from the start to protect several sensitive heritage structures located within and surrounding the Wallerawang Power Station site. These included an existing stack that remained from the original power station, a stone rail viaduct that crossed the Cox River, and the Church of St John the Evangelist that's been standing since 1880. The extensive demolition process began with a large scope of work ahead, including deconstruction of 2 59-metre boiler units, 2 177-metre tall stacks, precipitators, complete removal of all above and below ground coal handling plant conveyors, auxiliary bay, a 173-metre long hopper, 30,000 square metres of galbestos sheeting, and the complete removal of all equipment within many structures, including the large turbine hall, before demolition of the actual structures themselves. A fleet of over 20 customised machinery was deployed to complete this mammoth task. In addition to water trucks, dozers, articulated dump trucks and other vehicles, a total of 9 excavators were deployed, including a 120-tonne Hitachi excavator with 12-tonne concrete cracker, 200-tonne Hitachi high-reach excavator with high-reach shears, and the 230-tonne Liebherr excavator with shear attachments. After more than a year of continued progress, it was time for the twin stacks that towered over 177 metres high. Before continuing, Liberty Industrial underwent an extensive planning phase to develop the methods required to safely remove 16 asbestos-containing conduits located on the top of the stacks. To enable safe access to these conduits in a bold display of innovation, Liberty Industrial embarked on a groundbreaking endeavour by procuring a cutting-edge custom scaffolding system designed to sit atop the stacks. After 2 postponed attempts due to unfavourable weather conditions, finally the scaffolding system was carefully and strategically erected with the deployment of a Bell 412 twin-engine helicopter. With meticulous planning and exceptional execution, the Liberty Asbestos team demonstrated their unparalleled proficiency by successfully removing all ACM materials. This remarkable accomplishment paved the way for the highly anticipated blast event.
Fire now.
Australia watched as the iconic twin stacks that had stood for almost 70 years disappeared from the skyline. Detailed post-blast inspections were carried out by independent engineers to confirm the heritage-listed structures surrounding the site had been successfully unaffected by the works. 47,485 tonnes of metal was processed, resulting in an astonishing 99% of site material being recycled, with only 1% of material going to landfill, enforcing our circular economy and sustainability values. With With over 130,000 labour hours, the completed demolition of the power station stands as a significant achievement, marked by an unwavering commitment to safety without a single lost time incident, all while ensuring the preservation of the environment and the well-being of surrounding communities and heritage-listed structures. This feat stands as a testament to the meticulous planning, rigorous adherence to safety protocols, and the proficiency of the demolition team at Liberty Industrial.
There's not really much I can add to that. Liberty Industrial, they really are a global force in the field of demolition. What a fantastic job. Hats off to them all. Obviously, they are present and correct here in the UK right now. They've jumped all the way from Australia and landed here in the UK, and they've landed with quite a splash as well. So hats off to Liberty Industrial. Really fantastic job. Lots and lots of people saying that they enjoyed that. Let me have a look. Graham Footy Williams says they've got some impressive machines down there doing an awesome job. Peter McKenna, bloody hell, wish people would leave me alone when I'm watching the greatest show on the planet. Thank you, Peter. I'll come back to Gary Muirhead in just a moment. Yeah, that explosion was quite loud. Well, that's done it. It's cracked my screen. I'm hoping you're joking about that one, Peter. Mick Norton says, as the Aussie lady alluded, unparalleled proficiency. Yeah, not too many demolition companies in the world that could have undertaken that with such proficiency, I have to say. That drone did an awesome job. It certainly did. Efficiency at its finest, says Peter McKenna, and Mick Norton back again. Time and time again, the Aussies show us the way home in specialist roles. They do indeed. Now, Gary Muirhead has asked me a question. Did you ever manage to pin down Dr. Terry Cornby for an interview? I haven't yet, because I'm working on something in the background. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tell you in the WhatsApp group, because I don't actually want it to be public knowledge yet. Partly because it's going to take a wee while, but also because I don't want anybody else to nick the idea and do a piss poor job of it, but quicker. So I'll tell you in the WhatsApp group what it is that I'm up to, and I'll tell you how it's coming to. Watch the WhatsApp group. That's going to be the easiest answer. Now, let's have a smidgen of this, shall we? Good morning to Matoy Demolition. Not sure where in the world Matoy Demolition are, but good morning to you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us over on Instagram. Footy has just said, and in the nicest possible way, this proves a point. So I think what Footy is saying is a valuable article on the GPS yesterday explains why dyslexics will be taken out of the job and people that have got learning disorders. But as you can see, he doesn't say valuable, it says vacuole and learning disorders. And I'm not highlighting that to take the piss. I'm highlighting that because Footy and a lot of other people in this industry do have literacy problems. And my concern is, and funnily enough, after I published that article, Steve Williamson sent me some shots of some screen grabs of his TopCon system, I think it was. Endless amounts of flexibility and a superb system, I'm absolutely sure. But all of it required you to read words in order to access the various functions, which is fine if you are fully literate, but if you're semi-literate, if you're dyslexic, any of those things, you are scuppered. And if we do get to the point where clients and major contractors insist on the use of GPS and machine guidance and machine controls, then there's going to be a whole bunch of very experienced, very, very competent excavator and wheel loader and dozer drivers that are basically going to be sidelined by the advent of technology. That's the point. And if you'd like to read that, just go on to Google and search for Demolition Insider. It's sat there. If you're in the WhatsApp group, you can go via that because I sent the link over yesterday. Now, I was talking about all things, throw that up. Peter McKenna, greeted our Intermat section with, "Oh, gay Parry, I'm hoping it's not too gay." And even if it is too gay, I'm hoping that's not compulsory. Dan Carr says, "It's been non-stop here, which is fantastic. Love it here," he says. Now, gay Parry, Intermat. Caterpillar itself won't actually be exhibiting at Intermat next month. Instead, the company is going to hand those duties to the fine folks of their French dealer, Bergerac. However, I don't think that should stop us featuring Caterpillar in our regular pre-Intermat slot. So why don't we do that with a little bit of this?
I'm a dirt foreman out here for McCarthy Improvement Company. I've been doing this actual type of work probably ever since I was a kid on our family farm. My dad and my grandpa were land surveyors, and they did a lot of construction staking. I'd spend the summer months with them staking job sites. I just love it. You know, every day is something new, a new challenge, different piece of equipment, different person to work with, different part of the country. It's fun to get around and meet new people. So this project, it'll be a future water treatment facility for ADM, the city of Clinton. A lot of that infrastructure across America is out of date, and this is one project that's getting full update. A lot of corn is processed at ADM, so this is going to be a state-of-the-art facility that's going to produce clean water to get recycled or reused. The main thing is it's going to allow more industry to come to Clinton, more jobs. It's a neat project to be a part of. This is phase one of this contract. We're moving some unsuitable soils. We're about 60,000 yards into it. We're moving roughly 4,000 to 6,000 yards a day with 2 haul trucks running 8 to 10 hours. We got a Cat excavator, Cat haul truck, and a Cat dozer. It's some older Cat equipment, but it's held true. We got a dealership within 15 miles of us. It's nice to be able to call the dealer, a local dealer that's not 120 miles, 140 miles away. We can get parts, we can get hydraulic hoses made quick. If we go down, we're back up and running. This summer, we broke down. We were down in central Illinois, and we couldn't find a part. They made some phone calls, and through Althofer and Ziegler, and ended up finding a part in St. Paul. They worked together to find that. It was like half an hour before they had to go home for the day, but they got it figured out, aired it, and we had it the next day. That's really important to contractors that spend the money and buy the equipment, rent the equipment, in my opinion. They got to have someone they can call that has the knowledge to get them what they need on a hour basis, per se, or daily basis. When we need a piece of equipment, it's usually GPS capable. CAT has that. They've had training that they help us out, how to write files for me to make a GPS file and put it on the machine and make it easy for the operator to run. I've been partial to CAT for a long time. As far as reliability, serviceability, functionality, and especially on the GPS side of things, you're local and available. So it's easy when you combine all that together. That's why we run CAT.
That guy's job title was Dirt Foreman. Dirt Foreman. Do we have any Dirt Foreman in this country? I think we should. I think that'd be a fantastic thing to have. Footy says, what does Footy say? My kind of job would suit me down to the ground. Love the big machines. Going back to the point about GPS and machine controls, basically sidelining certain people with learning difficulties, literacy issues, or dyslexia. Peter McKenna has come back and said, wouldn't that then come under disability discrimination? Peter, you should know better than most. Yes, I'm almost certain that it would. What chance have you got? You are a registered disabled person. If and this has happened in the time that Peter has been watching the show, this has happened. If you are actively discriminated against through by your employer as a result of your disability, what can you actually do about it? Yes, you can come on this show and piss and moan about it. Yeah, you could probably complain to an agency if you're working through an agency. You might even be able to complain to the employer themselves. Do you really think that's going to make a difference? That's the point. And I agree with you 100%. It is unquestionably, or it will be in the years to come. It will be disability discrimination. But what you going to do about it? Good morning, Joe Brown Construction, who've just said good morning over on Instagram. Good morning to you. Thank you ever so much for being here. And apparently, Ken Diggerman, 1969, who looks a lot like a Welsh pizza-eating Ken Hatcher of this here parish, is now over on Instagram. No idea why he switched, but he has. That's going to pretty much wrap up the main part of this morning's show. Please don't forget, there is no show tomorrow. Ken, I'm looking at you. No show tomorrow. There's no show on Thursday either, because I will be my second home just recently. I will be in JCB land. So please don't turn up tomorrow and expect a show. You can turn up, but just don't expect a show. Don't turn up on Thursday either, because there will not be a show then either. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. I want to get back to our question of the day. Which day of your life would you like to relive? If you can't stick around, please stay safe. Look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. I hope to see you again very soon. But if you do have the time and the inclination, I promise, you have my word, I will be back after the Craic. No, I will be back with the Craic after this. How many times have I done this? 684 times I've done this. Still saying the wrong words, still pressing the wrong buttons. What you gonna do? Right, let's adjust that music. Good morning. Yeah, that's barely audible. I think that will do us. How is everyone this morning? I did say at the very beginning, I hope you're all well mentally, physically, and spiritually. I don't know what the spiritually bit means, but I just hope you're all well. Let's go back to the very beginning, shall we? Dan Cullen, once again. Dan Cullen was here before the show even began. Morning, Mr. Anthony. Yeah, morning, Dan. Thank you very much indeed for being here. And I know you're listening rather than watching, but thank you for being here. There is somebody over on Instagram watching now who goes by the name of Smashing Reptiles. I hope that's not your hobby. I hope that's you expressing your love of reptiles. We'll have no reptile smashing on my watch. That's what I'm saying. Let's have a look. There is Footy joined us as well. Good morning to Footy. Good morning, Peter McKenna, who has used a whole bunch of emojis, none of which display here. Just saying. I'm sure they're impressive. I'm sure they actually have some meaning. They don't work here. Take your emojis elsewhere, sir. Glenn Johnson said, good morning, everyone. Morning, Glenn. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Good of you to join us and give up your time. Mr. Muirhead as well. Gary, just to let you know, I ran out of time yesterday. So your prize-ish, your steel wrist thing, paperweight, is sat on my desk. It's labelled up, which is why I'm not showing it to anyone. It's labelled up. I will be taking it to the post office in about half an hour, thereabouts. So hopefully you will have it before the weekend. Mick Norton says, good morning all. Mark Whiting says, morning all as well. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. Chris Ford says, good morning, troops. Yes, good morning, troops. Glad that you could all amass today. Peter McKenna says, I see you like pressing people's buttons, Mark. I do, in both senses of the word. Yes, I do have my... I don't know if you can see that particularly clearly. You see all those initials or those letters. There you are. I can tell you now, the K is Ken, the G is Gary, the D is Dan, the J is Jim, and so when you guys arrive, I just have to press a button and I automatically say good morning to you. You're that regular, you've even got your own buttons. And there is one of the recipients of a button, Jim Turner. There's another one, Andy Dovell. Morning, gents. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Mick Norton, NFDC AGM, non-event of the year. I don't know because I'm not attending for many, many reasons, mostly because I wasn't invited for reasons that will be patently obvious. One thing that I did find interesting, and I only have this secondhand, so I don't know quite what the truth and the details of this are, but apparently the National Demolition Training Group had its AGM a little while ago and didn't actually have its accounts ready to be signed off. I thought that was kind of what an AGM was all about. Anybody got any thoughts on that whatsoever? Not my field of expertise, but apparently that was the case. Music's just come back in. That's good news. Let's have a look. Dan Cullen reminded me to hit his button, which I have done. That LinkedIn user, for some reason, it's not displaying the fact that is Carly Northwood, but good morning, Carly. Always good to have Carly on the show, and I'll be speaking to Carly very, very soon. I had a bit of a chat with her yesterday, but I'll be speaking to her very soon. Keep that in mind, because we're going to be doing something together. Now, there was my question of the day. Only came up with that late last night, and I thought it was a belter. We shall see. What day in your life would you like to relive? As I say, 10th of May 1980, West Ham beating Arsenal, and bearing in mind West Ham were in the second division at the time, and we turned over the mighty Arsenal to clinch the FA Cup final. And not only that, we had the extraordinary event of Trevor Brooking, Sir Trevor Brooking as he is now, scoring with a header. Doesn't happen, or didn't used to happen very often at all. And yes, we won the FA Cup, but that was a very stressful day, not least because my grandmother was an Arsenal Cup final with an Arsenal scarf and an Arsenal rosette on, which I found awfully offensive, but we turned them over in the end. I'm going to say good morning to Toby over at Comley Demolition, sort of. But morning, Toby. Good to see you here. Let's have a look. Who we got? Ken Hatcher has still got all of the weathers. My question of the day. What day of your life would you like to relive? I went with my wedding day, and our friend Peter McKenna says, question of the day, passing my HGV, my mum and dad's faces dropped to the floor when I initially told them I'd failed and kept it up for a few hours. Oh, isn't that lovely? Isn't that? I do think that is one of the great pleasures in life. I really do. Oh no. I was so hopeful, but I failed. Give it a couple of hours and then actually well done, Peter. Absolutely top job. Yes, lots and lots of guesses on our mystery machine, which I can tell you was that. For some reason, it keeps taking me out. There you are. It is the Sani SY750H. Never forget the H because it's important, apparently. As I say, lots and lots of guesses. No, the Gremlins, I think it was a screen thing rather than a software thing, so we're okay. Ken Hatcher, given his life all over again, which day would he go to? He would go to watch the space shuttle launch again. That would be truly memorable, I think. Yeah. I there's a couple of things I'd like to do before I do finally pop my clogs, which seems to be drawing inexorably closer. I'd love to see the Northern Lights, because I think I would find that quite an emotional thing, and I'd love to see a whale in the wild. I don't want to go hunting them, you understand? I just like to go whale watching, and I came very, very close. I was in the States. Would have been about 1989, and I'd been in LA, Beverly Hills specifically, but then drove down the coast, down the Pacific Coast Highway, through San Diego, all the way down to Tijuana, and we stopped at a hotel where they were offering whale watching cruises. So I thought, wow, that's going to be a life's ambition sorted out. So I went to have a word with the people at the desk, and they said, actually, we've stopped taking the boats out because the whales have finished their migration. I must have missed it by a few days. Never actually. I've seen dolphins. I've seen porpoises, which I'm sure is not how you pronounce it, porpoises. But I've not seen a whale. I'd love to see a whale in the wild. And then I would be more than happy to relive that day for a little while as well. As I say, loads and loads of guesses on our mystery machine. Gary Muirhead with an answer to our question of the day. 21st of June 2001, the day I also got married to my soulmate. Yeah, fair play to you. And remind me, you proposed up the Eiffel Tower, did you not? Did you not? I'm sure that's come up in conversation before. I don't make a note of these things. Just some things kind of stick in my weird head. I'm going to throw this one up because there's a bit of a discussion point here, and it's odd that it should come up again. Mick Norton says, question of the day, which day would you like to relive? The last time I sat down with my late dad in 1978 on a one-to-one. I was talking to Peter Haddock as part of our lengthy tour of the highways and byways of Hamburg over the weekend. And I was telling him that I was lucky enough to actually do that with my dad. And I'm fairly sure somebody else mentions this in just a moment. Because my mum was in hospital, I didn't realise it at the time, but she was basically dying. And myself and my sister were taking it in turns to either look after my dad or go to the hospital. You know. So on one occasion, I was left in the house with my dad, and I spent about 3 hours basically telling him all that I was thankful for. You know, all that he'd given up, all that he'd sacrificed and compromised to give myself and my sister the life that he had. And did it make his passing any more bearable? No, it didn't. But I'm very, very glad that I got the opportunity to actually tell him what I properly thought. All positive, I'll hasten to add. 1978, Mick Norton was talking about, and Peter McKenna says, I was 6 years old then, Mick. I was 13. I was at school. Probably deeply and passionately in love with a little girl called Donna Aston. Donna Aston. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. Lots of praise for our True 7 on the M25 job. There you are. Some lovely looking Volvo equipment. Indeed, the M25 team with their Volvos making good time on that pothole. Some pothole. Andy Dalvell says, our True 7 taking over the name of Bridgebusters from Armac. Looking good, boys and girls. There does seem to be a bit of a North Midlands South divide when it comes to bridges. Up north, S7 seems to do quite a few of them, particularly over railways. Get to the Midlands, Armac by a million miles. Get a little bit further south. Well, True 7 have done a couple back-to-back now. So, yes, they are certainly making inroads. And as Craic at CSW said, they most certainly didn't disappoint. I wish I had the opportunity to highlight jobs like that more often. As I said at the very beginning in my opening monologue, such as it was, it is going to be 364 days since the CMA investigation on Friday, and on the 364th day, there is every possibility that one or more of the guilty parties will receive a demolition award from the NFDC. That's the downside. On the upside, you've got people like True 7. We've already mentioned Armac, people like that, absolutely 100% doing the industry, and the Federation, proud. So yes, well done to those guys. More guesses on our mystery machine, loads more guesses. We all decided, I think, with possible exception of Mick Norton, that those Bobcat rotating telehandlers were indeed hot to trot. A lot of thought been put into those machines. Yeah, it certainly has. I'm guessing they are probably Manny machines under the bonnet, but that's pretty damn fine. Just mention the fact that I got to say a proper goodbye to my dad. Peter McKenna, no, it wasn't Peter McKenna, it was Mick Norton, did the same. Chris Ford was robbed of that opportunity. Christmas Day, June the 11th, 1983, day before my father died. The things you wish you'd said but didn't. Yeah, as I say, I mean, I do have one regret with both my parents, actually. I mean, on my phone, I've still got a couple of answer phone or voicemail messages from my mum. I've not listened to them, but they're there, so I could listen to her voice if I wanted to. But with my dad was basically diagnosed with COPD a good few years before he died. So he found talking for prolonged periods of time very, very difficult, because otherwise I would love to have stuck a microphone under his nose and basically just got him to reminisce about his time growing up in and around Bermondsey, and, you know, the jobs that he did and the fishing trips that he went on and how he met my mum and all of that kind of thing. Just wasn't possible. Would love to have been able to basically preserve that and then possibly pass it on to the children. Not an option, unfortunately. A few more hots, although Ken Hatter is only just hot. Hot, says Jim Turner. Spot on if you have enough work to warrant the outlay. We'll do a massive variety of hire work. Yeah, a proper Swiss Army knife of machines. Chris Ford, however, telehandler leaves me cold. There's our friend Dave Paget, who I believe is still offering free donuts if you pay a visit to Kent Demolition on a Friday. I'm still working on it. I just need one day where I've not got to go from this into something else, because Dave and his team are about an hour away from me, and I just need to finish one of these shows, to jump in the car and go. Not been possible yet, but I will. Demoliciones. I don't know where they are. Sounds a bit Spanish, so possibly Spain, possibly somewhere Spanish speaking, but they're watching us over on Instagram, as are Demtech BV. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Demtech BV. Good of you to be here. Adrian Rogers, good of you to be here as well. Guessed that our mystery machine was the SY870 from Sony. It wasn't. It was the 750, which Ken Hatcher immediately got. Well done, Ken. Well spotted. We've already covered this, but Mick Norton not particularly impressed by the Bobcat machines. However, he was outvoted. Despite this, Graham Williams says, I think we should take note of Mick Norton's knowledge of fork trucks and counterbalance on any fork trucks. He knows his telehandlers. Yes, he does. No question about it. Listen, it's not an official endorsement that we're making here. We're just, I've shown you a video and you've decided whether you believe them to be hot or not. Most of you said hot. Hot, I'm going with. Footy says they have some impressive machines down there doing an awesome job. Yeah, they really do. And I might have this framed, not the bloody hell bit, but I might have this framed at some point. Peter McKenna says, bloody hell, I wish people would leave me alone when I'm watching the greatest show on the planet. Greatest show on the planet. Earl Fallon of Fallon Demolition has just joined us over on Instagram as well. Morning, Earl. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Got a very good demolition audience today. Yes, WhatsApp, Gary, I will let you know. Just know that I'm working on a thing, and that thing will be a standalone. But while I'm speaking to Terry about that thing, man alive, this sounds cryptic. When I'm speaking to Terry about that thing, I will also be talking to him about getting him on a show. Watch this space. Couldn't adjust the sound on that one, I'm afraid. So yes, you did get it loud, I'm afraid. Lots and lots of talk about the Liberty Industrial thing. Footy enjoyed the article on GPS yesterday, which I've suggested. And please, let me be absolutely clear about this. Let me take that off the screen. Let me be absolutely clear about this. I am an advocate for GPS. I'm an advocate for driver aids. I'm an advocate for machine guidance. I'm an advocate for anything, even remotely technological. If it adds to the efficiency, or if it saves fuel, or if it reduces emissions, or if it just makes an operator's life better or easier, I am 100% for it. However, and the rest is in that article, I do have a concern that for years and years and years, and I know I said this yesterday, but just to remind everyone what it's all about, for years and years and years, we have relied on warning lights and symbols, low oil or engine temperature and things like that. Even, as I said yesterday, where you've got the rev control, where you've got the tortoise at one end, hair at the other end, all symbols that we can all understand. As soon as you switch over to all things GPS, there's an awful lot in there. As Steve Williamson demonstrated Saturday before last, there's a lot in there that is mathematical, but also to access a lot of those functions, you do need a fair degree of literacy. You certainly need to be able to read the names of the functions. And then once you're into the functions, there's yet more complexity. And my concern is that will discriminate directly, indirectly, deliberately, or otherwise. It will discriminate against those, and there are a good many for whom reading and writing is not a strong point. We've got lots of people that are semi-literate, we've got a lot of people that are illiterate, we've got a lot of people that are dyslexic, and if we adopt all of those systems, there is every possibility that those people within our industry will be sidelined. And bearing in mind, and I realise we have a downturn in workload, but we're still talking about skill shortages. Can we really afford as an industry to sideline competent, qualified and experienced operators just to accommodate software that has been designed not with those people in mind? That's the article. Go and take a look. Demolition Insider, that's where you'll find it. And yes, I think it probably would come under disability discrimination, but how are you going to prove it? How are you going to do anything about it? Darren Sun says, question of the day, my lad being born, greatest day I'll never forget. Yeah, well, listen, my eldest daughter, the day that she was born, would have been my first choice, because you kind of grow up that day, don't you? But she ended up being born by emergency cesarean. So a lot of my memories of that day, actually being handed my newborn daughter, unwrapping her and counting her fingers and toes, and getting to hold her for the first time, all fantastic. But before that, there'd been a good 24 hours of not particularly nice. So that, I wouldn't say it tainted it. I still remember all of the good bits, but very, very stressful. I was just an onlooker, even more stressful for my good lady. So yes, I'm going for the day I got married. But I fully understand with that where you're coming from, Darren. Footy says, hopefully I get a job soon. The weather's going to change, hopefully. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Good things come to those who wait. How long do you have to wait for those good things, I wonder? Did you see that Cabelco post I shared on WhatsApp group, Mark? That offset boom idea is a good invention. I'll need to check. I did mention yesterday, I've set my phone now to go into do not disturb mode at 9:30 every night. I do catch up as best I can with the WhatsApp group and all my other notifications in the morning, but that phone just sitting there buzzing on the side while I was trying to go to sleep, not good for my health, so I've switched it off. Gurpreet Singh 1773 says, hello, sir. Hello to you. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Dan Cullen says, 2017, not being there when my dad passed away. Yeah, well, I feel your pain, Dan, because I was on holiday. I had a long chat with my dad, and obviously my mum had passed by then. Had a long chat with my dad about going on holiday. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine, he said. 3 days into the holiday, he had a fall. Got himself a nasty bout of pneumonia. So rather than me being by his bedside, my eldest son, Ollie, was with him when he passed. And I was sat on a beach in Corfu. Not ideal. I couldn't have done anything about it, obviously. But I rather wish I'd been there. So I fully understand where you're coming from there, Dan. Jim Turner. Mark, can you help me to publicly thank Craig Williams for his message to me this morning? I've never met Craig, but I hope to have the crack with him and shake his hand one day soon. Yes, Jim, I can do that. Craig Williams, on behalf of Jim Turner, thank you for the message that you sent him today. I don't know what message that was, but thank you. Jim, that's one of the services we offer here. Footy says, how many people in the industry are dyslexic, I can't even speak, let alone read, or have a learning disorder, will be lost if that happens now. How many workers will go to the wall? That was my point entirely, and it was inspired very much indeed by our friend Footy. One option for manufacturers of guidance systems and other electronic aids is voice control. Yeah. Well, voice control, but also voice communication. It exists. We have AI that can do it. I was talking to Steelrisk because they're actively using it. You can actually have your control system on your Steelrisk diagnose faults in the language of your country. So they've actually recorded these in-house and then had them translated, but they're now available. If you can produce text, you can produce voice to text, as our friend Footy knows, because he uses it. Rather than having to go through incomprehensible tables, wouldn't it be easier to be able to say, I'd like to set up an attachment, and the system says, which attachment would you like to set up? I'd like to set up the shear. Okay, how would you like to set up the shear? Well, I want this amount of pressure and this amount of flow. Fantastic, I've done that. Is that okay? Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, speak to you again tomorrow. Tatty bye. That's the English version. Obviously, I wouldn't expect a Korean necessarily to say tatty bye at the end of it, but you get the idea. It's all possible, that exists. Why are we not using it? Footy says, is there anyone out there who wants to use me as a thing for helping people to do things on the side of technology to others? Please ask, I will help. Manufacturers of equipment, and bearing in mind, and I'm sure these things still exist, you deliver a machine, and I realise that some are very good at handovers and taking you through all the various functions and capabilities, but I'm sure there are still operators' manuals available. What good is an operator's manual to our friend Footy and the thousands more like him who struggle with the reading and the writing? What use is that? And yet, you could could program that. There is an awful lot of computing power within the monitor that is sat in your cab. Make it voice controlled, and then we get to keep all of these fantastic operators rather than sidelining. I tell you what, I'll assuming I get the opportunity, I will be raising that with JCB. I did have a long chat with Steelist about it a couple of days ago while I was when I was living in Germany, as I was. But I will raise that with the fine folks at JCB. See what their take is on it. I'm sure they've got a very sensible answer. I don't think that any of the manufacturers, either of the machines or of the systems that supplement the machines, I don't believe they are being deliberately discriminatory. I honestly don't believe that. I think this is just they're playing to the majority. They're not deliberately excluding the minority, but they are playing to the majority. And I do wonder what they would all say if I were to ask that question. So I will ask that question. As I say, I'll be face to face with JCB at some point tomorrow. And tomorrow, I think we're actually having dinner with the fine folks at JCB as well. So plenty of opportunity to go and find the right person and skewer them with that very question. Footy says, good thing you're going to JCB. Perhaps you can put something over to them. They might understand and come up with a solution. Well, I've already said on Jim Turner's behalf, I've said thank you to Craig Williams. On your behalf, Footy, I will speak to somebody at JCB, maybe somebody like Tim Burnhope. I don't know if Tim's going to be there tomorrow, but if he is, I will ask him that very question and see what they have to say for themselves. And bearing in mind that the lengths that some manufacturers, Larini being one of the most recent, the lengths that they are going to make their machines accessible to those with physical disabilities. So you've got sort of wheelchair lifts and that kind of thing. We're doing that, but what about those with the less visible, the less obvious disabilities like dyslexia? What are we doing about that as an industry? Can we really afford? I don't know how many dyslexic, illiterate, semi-literate people we have within the machine operation system workforce at the moment, but I would guess there will be thousands, because as I've said in the article, for years and years and years, demolition and construction has been kind of the last refuge for the educational underachiever. Those that were maybe a bit disruptive at school, didn't do particularly well with reading and writing, and therefore they were never really destined for an office job. So where did they end up? A lot of them ended up in the armed forces, but a lot of them end up in construction and demolition. And they do the job very well. You've got somebody like Footy who is, a 30-plus year operator. All of that experience, all of that competence, all of that knowledge, all of that wisdom potentially going to waste because we've decided to switch to a text-based technological system. Yeah. I tell you what, and I'm glad you put this, Footy. This is one area, there's a lot of things that I wish I was better at. And this is one of them. One of the things that bearing in mind Intermat, I will have pretty much all of the major manufacturers in the same place at the same time. JCB are not exhibiting. I don't think Case are going to be there either. But, Hitachi will be there, Komatsu, Kobelco, Volvo, Liebherr, all of the Caterpillar as well. All of the majors will be there. Where I've failed in the past is, you go and see them and you speak about a specific machine or a specific range. What I don't do, or what I've not done in the past, is to answer or ask that additional question, about trends in the market. I end up having to do that after the show, be it about HVO, hydrogen, electric, whatever it might be. I'm going to make a note in my notepad, my trusty notepad. Yes, I'm very much paper-based when it comes to that. I'm going to make a note in my notepad. Everybody that I speak to, I will be asking them that question. And then when I get back from Intermat, I will sit down one afternoon and I will compile all of those things together and see if I can come up with a sensible answer. Watch this space, Footy. Mick Norton says, interpreting load charts on a telescopic handler with a text-to-voice might prove a big ask for a manufacturer. Indeed. Indeed it might. Just because it's hard, should it not still be done? Lou Carney, yeah, there is a Kubota event going on today, which unfortunately I couldn't make. But Lou Carney, who was I think the driving force behind it, she is up at Kubota at the moment, or wherever it is the event is going on, and she's tuned in. Does that mean that the event hasn't started, or is the event taking place in the background and you just decided to duck out? I don't know. But good morning, Lou. Thank you for joining us, and apologies once again for not being there. Mick Norton says, in my experience, many manufacturers of construction equipment are never over keen to answer awkward questions in open forum. I'm not planning. I mean, to be perfectly honest, and this is. I'm just going to say, Jardi Correa over in Brazil is watching over on Instagram. He is. Anybody that's watching live from Worthing, pin back your ears, because here's a journalistic lesson that you may not know, because you're not journalists. I never, ever, 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 ever ask a question in an open forum. One of the first laws of journalism, when I was taught way back in the late 1700s, never ask a question in an open forum. There are a few that do, or there's certainly a few that did back in the day, but it always came across that, aren't I clever? I've asked this very big question. But you know what they were doing when they were doing that? They were basically giving the same answer to everybody else that was watching. I never do that. I will sit there and I'll take my notes and I'll put stars against it. So when they're finished speaking, I can go up and grab the person that said the bit that I need to find out more about, and I will skewer them on my own. Never, ever do I ever ask questions rather in an open forum. Journalistic suicide. As I say, some aren't journalists and they just sit in the corner very quietly. Less said about that, the better. I'm moving on. People, it's been an hour and 16 minutes. Lou Carney, you need to get back to All Things Kubota. I need to go and do things. Pack my bags again. I've only just, well, in actual fact, there's still bits and pieces in my bag that I haven't taken out from Germany. Nothing that needs worrying about. It's only toiletries. There's no dirty underwear in there, I promise. That's all clean and fresh. Yes, I need to go and get ready for tomorrow. Go and pack the camera gear once again. But first and foremost, I do need to go to the post office to send that beauty to Mr. Muirhead. So I'll be doing that as soon as the show is over. So every journalistic suicide, perhaps. But what about the end user? As I say, here's how open forums press conferences actually work, right? So, and this is how it will work on Thursday with JCB. We'll have had a bit of a sneak preview on Wednesday, probably. This is the JCB way. Get a sneak preview on the Wednesday, dinner on Wednesday night, and we can all chew the fat and generally press the flesh, as it were. And then on Thursday, there will be a press conference, be in a theatre of some description, and the various JCB people will stand up and they'll tell us about the new machine, the engine it's got in it, the transmission it's got in it, and the cab that it's got on, all of those sort of things. And then they will say, right, okay, let's go and have a look at the machine. At that point, I then go and find those various people that have already been up on stage. Right, you said about that engine. Tell me about the engine. Why that engine? What? That's the way it works. Because I don't want my rivals to find out what it is that I mean, in absolute truth, I don't even know why I bother anymore, because I don't have any. This show is unique. There are a couple of Demolition publications, but they're crap. They're of no interest to me whatsoever. So I don't. But I was properly trained as a journalist. So no, I never ask a question in an open format or an open forum. I will ask the questions privately. I will get a proper, quotable, direct answer. And as our friend Mick has said, the end user, you then get the proper answer rather than the one that was made publicly available. That's the way I work as a journalist. Worthing, you're welcome. Everybody, please go and have a fantastic day. We've already said it. I'm not here tomorrow. I'm not here Thursday, but back on Friday. Please join us if you possibly can, because I'm sure I'm going to have lots and lots of really good stuff to tell you about. That's the plan. Everybody, go and have a fantastic day. I'll see you on Friday. Speak to you soon. All the best.